On today's video, we're going to talk about PRI, the PRI Show, 20 years of PRI. More on that when we get back. Hey, today on this video, we're going to cover a little bit about PRI Show and the last 25 years or whatever we've gone to PRI and how come we don't go anymore. Like, share if our videos, this one's going to be more about fun than tech, but like and share our videos. If they're helping you guys out, comment, like, and share, and help us grow our channel. PRI. We started going to PRI when it first come back to Indianapolis, or first went to Indianapolis from Ohio. I'm not the best on timelines, and I don't really remember what year that was, but we was going to PRI, and we've gone to PRI for 25 years. But we haven't gone here in the last couple, and we'll cover more on that and why we don't go, but we'll talk about some of the years of PRI. So when we first started going, we were in the very first year we was in a ballroom, ballroom 500. We was right inside the door. We had a 10 by 10 booth, and it was me and another guy, an employee. And we went to there, and we tag teamed with a company out of Wichita called LS Industries. And the lady that ran LS Industries was very nice to us. She took care of us. She took care of us in a very nice way. But we shipped our stuff out there with them. And we learned after the first show that we need to get a trailer and we need to haul our own stuff in, because they said they were going to charge $40 to move it in, $40 to move it out, and they charged $40 a pound to move it. And our first booth was very heavy. It was something that I designed and built, but it was just, slat wall stuff, and we displayed our product. We may have had a little catalog, but we got out there and we met the world. And that was our first PRI show. Like I said, I'm not real good on timelines, so 25 years ago. Then we moved into the Dome. And the second year, it was me and my wife went, and we traipsed out there and in the cold in a little 96 Chevy pickup. And little 10 by 10 trailer. We had, I don't know if we had a 10 by 10 booth or a 10 by 20, but I feel like maybe it was a 10 by 10 that year. And we took our stuff out there, and we were in the football field part of the Dome, and it was cold in there, and it was extremely cold that year. And when the show was over, you have to go get your truck and you have to get in line to get in the Dome. And of course, if you all remember, the great part about being in the football field, the Dome was, the size and the height of the ceiling. But Masterbuilt had their chassis in there, and everybody wanted to see that Masterbuilt chassis. But the first thing in was a drag car company, and they sold parts and built chassis, and they always put this drag car up in the air above their booth. And it was very hard for him to put up and very hard for him to take down, and it did cause many delays. But the great memories of early PRI was hanging out on Wednesday night in the Dome and often being the only ones in there. We could stay late as we wanted, and a lot of times, probably unknown to Tater and Keith, we went and hung out underneath their car. We laid under that car for many hours just looking at it. And it was kind of our go-to on Wednesday nights. Sometimes we was the last ones. Well, we always were the last ones in there. But so the next year, I remember we went and we had a 20-foot booth. And we had a couple of tables with rear end displays on them, both late model and modifieds. And a 9-inch Ford stuff over there and late model stuff over here. And we had a couple of rear ends, and Beaver at Winters helped us. And Willwood helped us with some product, and we had a booth with bird cages and all of our pinion plates and stuff. And the back wall was more dedicated to sponsors, cars, people that we sponsored. But we had a great show that year. And here again, we hung out in the um, Masterbuilt booth afterwards. We were there in the dome for a long time. Well, we was in the dome in the football field until they moved it to Florida. But the year I think that maybe Masterbuilt had the square head or square tube header car. If you guys remember that, they had one header that was square tube and one header that was round tube, and they was both a work of art in the welding of them headers. Don't really remember what year that was, but that was a good year for us. And I remember the security and stuff coming over after the show. There was about 50 of us in our booth, and it was probably about 9 o'clock. And they told us that they wanted to lock the doors at 10. And we finally all went downtown, and my brother come down that year. Alan Vaughn was a sponsor car that year, won the MLRA championship, national championship that year. We'd probably have to look that up and see when that was, but there were some great years back then where he battled Al Perkey year after year for the championship, and Alan was a guy that we took care of very well, and he won it the majority of the time. That's about all I can remember. We'd have to let the history books look that up, and hopefully my memory is as good as the history books are with their data. So, yes, the fun part of PRI used to be hanging out on Wednesday nights and doing our thing. Well, then they were going to tear the dome down. So we were headed to Florida. Now, this is not one of the reasons why, but this is one of the things that happened that did cause grief, for us, was when we went to Florida. PRI went to Florida, and IMIS created a show in Indy, and they had it in the regular ballroom hall, and it was a smaller show. And they did that for the 4 or 5 years that we were in Florida. But we stuck with PRI and went to Florida. Now, the part that kind of irritated me is when we come back, we did not get our seniority. They gave the seniority to the IMIS people, which seemed ridiculous. But they gave them first choice as a booth, and all the people that went to Florida got second rated. But we went to Florida, and it was a long trip to Florida for us. But it was nice to go down there. The first year we went, of course, we always went to PRI early. We never was a company that messed around and come in late. We went the weekend before, we would go to PRI. And I would rather be there early and be ready for anything that would have happened. And thank the Lord that in 25 years, nothing happened. Nothing happened going to PRI. We ran out of gas one time, but nothing happened, bad going to PRI. But we were going, and we were in Georgia, and we got to doing some looking, and Sam Smith found us a race in Savannah, Georgia. So we got to go to Brunswick, and fast has half mile in the south, and it was start of the new season or the winter season for them guys down there, and so we took in some racing down there. That was a very memorable time. That was, I believe, the first year we went to Florida. And that was me and Dan Smith and Todd Myers, and we kind of got lost when we got to Florida, but that was a fun ordeal. Todd didn't find it as humorous as we did, but we typed in the wrong location, so our GPS took us to the wrong spot. So, and we had to do it 3 times before we realized that we had the wrong address. So poor Todd had to get on the turnpike and pay for it like 3 times with a trailer, a triple axle trailer. But so we eventually got there, had a great show. Um, the next year we went was maybe the first year Delbert Schmidt went with us. Um, we had Jeff Floyd's car in the booth, the GRT car, and Joe Garrison and Katie both were with us at that show a lot. And but we had that late model, and there was a guy from Belleville that was there, and I don't remember if this was the first year he went or the second year, but his name was Bob. He was a photographer, and Vaughn, the Vaughn girl, the hooker header girl, was going to be there, and he was like, "Oh, I know her." Well, the next thing on Wednesday nights, they started having this. When we went to Florida, they started having this party sponsored by Budweiser, which was cocktail, foods, and beer. And since we didn't drink, we really didn't get involved in the beer deal. But we tried to get up there and get some food. Of course, we were never first in line on them deals, and 500 racers hit free food, it's gone instantly. So by the time we'd get up there, we'd walk around, talk, and drink some pop, and then go back down on the floor. But the one year, Bob had all of the Budweiser models over in the corner and was interviewing and taking pictures of them. And we're like, "Bob, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, the girls want to go down and take a picture with the car." And he's like, "Would that be all right?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we go down on the floor and we take pictures with the car, our car. And then we proceed to take pictures with every single car on the PRI floor that year. So 2 hours later, we come back, and we have some very good friends that want to help us in our booth, pass out books and be models and just be friendly to the racers. Unfortunately, I don't really remember their names, but they did make the 20 years of PRI timeline. Both of them did. And for several years, 3 or 4 years, maybe the whole time we were in Florida, the one girl helped us. But she was not shy, and she learned a lot about racing and race cars. And she knew the difference between a dirt track racer and a drag racer just by how they walked down the aisle. And she wouldn't hand out catalogs to guys that weren't dirt racers. But she helped us for many years. Florida really didn't have any eventful things. We raced go-karts in the rain at Florida. We raced go-karts. One year we had Billy Moyer's Victory Circle car in the booth. And we raced go-karts with Little Billy and Big Billy. But we were not party animals, so we didn't really do any of the crazy stuff. We just was there to work and, communicate with racers, So Florida didn't really, we got to see the space shuttle. It took off one night when we were there, and that was some 90 miles away from Orlando to Kennedy Space Center. And I believe, I be honest with you, I don't know if this is correct, but I swear you could hear the thing, and it definitely lit up the sky. So it was very impressive to see the space shuttle take off that time. But other than that, we didn't really have any events in Florida. No, I mean, everything went smooth. One time we got set up on Sunday. We were set up complete 100% on Sunday. So then PRI went back to Indy, and they had a new building. And again, we always showed up on Sundays. We didn't mess around any, but there was one time we got there pulled into town Sunday night, we went ahead and pulled all the way into the dome just to see what was happening. Doors were open. Talked to some people, asked them if we could take our booth in. They said yes. So we rolled in. The only thing on the entire floor, no curtains, no tape, no lines on the floor, nothing. But, we knew where our booth was going to be, so we rolled our stuff over there. Everybody was fine with it. Monday morning, we showed up. By noon, we was 100% set up. I'd rather be early and be prepared than be late and be unprepared. We always went early in case we broke down on the way or had problems. Um, and it was time to relax. So one year we went out to the big track. We went out to big track several years. Went and seen that little sprint car track where Tony Stewart raced a few times. It was a baseball diamond. They raced They raced on the baseball diamond around the wall, and went there a couple of times. Um, just scoped out downtown, but pretty much just did our thing. We did what we were there to do. But the great thing about being there was seeing the racers, and all of our friends, and then getting to communicate with them over a 3, 4, 5 day period. Fellowship with them, eat with them. But one of the things that I really truly loved about PRI was the sit down time that we had with this group. We had some chassis builders, some engineers, and we just sit down as a group and had a round table. And we would do this till they throw us out, a lot of times. So, it might be 3 a.m. before we call it a day, but we always made sure we made time to get together and talk about the latest and greatest in racing. And that is one of the things I miss the most about PRI and not being able to go. And the dome doesn't replace that. And as the dome started, it hurt the PRI show as far as foot traffic, and the core Indiana, Illinois racers didn't come to PRI. They went to the dome instead. And the dome was great, and the first year we didn't make it. And the second year we went, we wasn't Cody Summers and me go back to the first year of PRI at Florida, and Nick Hoffman. We sponsored that car, but when we got there, Nick had decided to do something different and sold our product because he could make more money on it, and decided to go with something else, and he did that. And me and Cody kind of stayed in contact a little bit, and Cody did a great thing with us at the Dome for several years. So hats off to Cody Summers, great guy, a great promoter, and just a great race enthusiast. So the Dome is a great event that he's putting on. So enjoy it this year. It's going to be another stellar year at the Dome, but the Dome isn't quite the same, even though we had great spot in the Dome and we had created some great programs on shocks at the Dome. The Dome wasn't, we were doing the Dome and PRI, and that was kind of fun. One year we had to go to the Dome, and then we had to take 2 trucks and trailers, and we left one there in St. Louis and went on to Indianapolis to PRI and set up. But, it's a lot of away time for the guys, not so bad for me because my wife knows what to expect. But, it's just a lot of away time. But that year was interesting because it was the second time my kids got to go. Leanne went with us one year when she was very young. But she was a lot younger than she acted. So she was very mature for her age. She went one year and she met all the guys from the 405, and they all got pictures with her. And I think they honestly were more impressed with her than she was with them. But she went with us one year, and she set out to conquer Indianapolis on her own, and she did. and that was entertaining for her. And probably should have never let her do what she did, but she ventured around the town by herself, So and she figured it out. A couple times, Kayleen's gone with us. Kayleen went with us one time when we had to do the dome, and then PRI, and then the next year she went. Sage went with us, which is her current fiance, and then Yvette went with us. And I think Yvette was kind of a celebration of 20 years from the first time she went. Yvette went multiple years, and poor Yvette got sick one year, and that was a terrible, terrible thing. But that was the year it was horribly, horribly cold, and it was just terribly cold. And being in that football field dome was very cold, and she got very, very sick, and spent most of the time in the hotel room, and that was not fun for her. But we made it through it. But luckily, by the time we come home, she felt better. But the girls went with us several times, and that was fun because we really didn't get to do a lot of racing together. So it was fun to do that. But PRI got bought out by SEMA, and SEMA changed it, and the show changed, and it was not about bringing products to the racers. It was about putting on a show. And I remember one year going through the advertisement they sent us, and there was like 1.2 million, 1.3 million of paid advertisement in the building. And I thought, this, I would have loved to had somebody come up and go, hey, since you've been coming for 20 years, we'll give you this banner above your booth, or we'll help you, do this. But no, it was about making money. I understand they got to make money, but buying the booths and advertising in the catalog and supporting PRI wasn't enough. The show become about PRI. The second year we went to Florida, I called every hotel in that area and set them up with key cards for that week of the show. And PRI called me and told me we couldn't do it, and they took them all away from us. And when we got there, all the hotels had PRI key cards, and it was just like, why? Why does PRI need to advertise when everybody that's there is there for PRI? And the people that were not there for PRI were not coming. One year they had a pool tournament, and the pool tournament might have been just as big, if not bigger, than PRI. But the people that come to the pool tournament went to the pool tournament, and vice versa. We didn't make it over there, and it was just across the street. But it just is what it is, But the last year we went was the first year that everybody kind of pulled out, and there was 3 dirt companies there, and I mean, we had tons of foot traffic. Everybody, come and seen us because there was nobody else there to see, and a lot of promises were made, and I felt like it was going to be one of the best PRIs we had in years, and it turned out to be the worst. At the end of the year, we recovered 0 from that show. We had no leads from that show that turned into sales. We did have one sponsor guy that we took on, and he was a great sponsor, Mike Jeanette. But Mike come with the intent of doing this deal and seeing us. And that's the way I understood it. Mike might have understood it different, but that's the way I understood it. Mike come out and he joined our program, and we sponsored him for a few years before we went our separate ways. But Mike helped us out for a few years. But I felt like that was kind of a gimme and a done deal when we left. But so basically, we spent all that money on preparation and getting ready. We built all of our own booths from day one. We machined all the product. We machined tables. We machined our parts. We machined the pieces to build our booth. Our booth was very mechanical. Lots of aluminum and tubing and graphic artworks. And I don't know if you've never seen it. It was a good looking booth. And, um, and we added and grew the booth every year. So we spent easily a month machining parts and polishing, and eventually we stopped polishing. We sent off everything and got it anodized, which was really nice. Repowder coated everything. But we spent a lot of money on our booth, and we spent a lot of money on floor space for our booth. And we tried to cut corners to save money, and that's why we build our own stuff, But the reason we don't go to PRI is because of the cost factor to go, to be there a week and spend that money and then get nothing for it. I don't need to advertise, um, and I don't need to see my name in lights. This is not about me, and it is about BSB and building a brand, but it's not about Jay Neal. These videos are not about Jay Neal. They're about us helping you and you becoming a better racer. And yes, I do want to leave my mark on racing when I'm done, and I want to be more than a distant memory. I don't want to just be a forgotten soul. I want to be remembered as a great participant of the sport of racing. That's why we do these videos. It's not about my ego or pumping that up. So it's just cost too much money, and there was no benefit, no reward for that. So we just stopped going. Now we've tried to do some other things, and videos is one of them, and this is successful. So I thought I'd just share a little bit about PRI. It turned out to be a lot longer than what I thought it would be, but I'll see if I can dig up some old pictures, and we'll maybe get Dan Smith to throw in some old pictures. And I seen he posted some stuff from cars he's done, and he's still doing cars. But I'll see what I can find from the past, and we'll get it. I was never a great photographer, but we'll get it in the video here. I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys. I've had a few people ask if we were going, and I felt like this would be a good way to let you know why we didn't go. But if you make it to PRI, have fun, enjoy, go to the Dome, have a great time. Maybe we'll see you there. If we don't, we love you guys. Have a great Christmas. It is just slightly after Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving weekend when this is being recorded. So you guys have a great Christmas, a great Dome season. Cheer for your favorite Dome drivers. I'm sure that the intensity is going to be high in the Dome. I'm sure the side-by-side door banging is going to be high. There are no early predictions. Jonathan Davenport is going to be my early prediction in the mod, or in the late model, and Tyler Davis in the modified. So good luck at the Dome, guys. That'll be this following weekend. So we may or may not have this posted. I'm going to try to get this posted up for that race. But be careful. Have a great holiday. As always, go fast, go left. God bless you, and we'll see you the next time.